Hello guys, I'm sorry for a somewhat late start. Welcome to Banter Blitz. So we're scheduled again this week because yesterday I was away. Just as usual, let me know in chat if you can see me and hear me well. And just as usual, I'm going to start with several games against guys I've never played before. Of course, if we have this sort of challenges. So let me check what's going on here. So feels like we have like everyone I've played at least once, right? So maybe it's a good idea just to go one by one. So here is Bertus Maximus. Let's start with that game. Olaf says all okay. Very good. Thank you for this information. Cobra is here as well. Okay, so here's our first game. I'm playing with white pieces, but we have to understand this is 3 minutes game, so I have to play faster, not to lose any time. Okay, Bertus Maximus, are you here? I have already played e4. So a quick check if you see the board. Yes, you can see the board. Very nice. So, waiting for the response from Bertus Maximus. No, there is no response, so let's abort and go further. So here we have Sebik 1996. Okay, so accept that game. Bertus says, sorry buddy, my screen didn't switch. Alright, so just put your challenge again. And I will accept it after this game, alright? Let's try this one more time. I mean, if that was just a technical problem, I'm happy to give you a second chance this time. So, Rui Lopez. For now, let's just focus on our game. There is a threat of taking on c6 and taking on e5 already. So normally I respond with the b5. And then after bishop b3, simply bishop to e7. Let's see. c3, all right, let's play d6. So it's just a slow Spanish. White is not in a rush with playing d4. White is preparing everything gradually. Okay, so let's put the bishop on d7 here. Pawn on h6, preparing rook to e8. Okay, so there is no knight g5 anymore. Knight goes to g3, bishop to f8. Everything looks harmonious for now. What's the next stage? Knight to a5. Bishop goes to c2, now c5, fighting for the center. As you can see, we are controlling a bit more space now. And d4. So, it feels like just a normal Rui Lopez, but white played d4 not from d2 but from d3, so spent actually 2 moves to play d4, and I don't see what white actually achieved with this. Not sure, because black actually did all the same moves, like against normal d4 with 1 tempo, I mean, while white has already spent 1 tempo or on nothing, basically. Okay, let's see if it helps. It's definitely not a tragedy or anything like that, because position is still quite close. Maybe closed even more if white plays d5 at some point. Yes, not a big problem for white. So what are you thinking? So typical things here are like b3 maybe. a4 can be also considered. Just d5, yeah, also move. So now white is going to play b3, where after white will control c6 and c4 squares. So my knight will be completely switched off the game. The only route for it will be like through b7 to d8, but then where? not so clear. So typical thing against d5 is just to put the knight on c4 immediately. So then after b3 it at least goes to b6. Also not very cool position, but from there at least it has a bit more possibilities compared to b7. All right. So now after this regrouping, center is closed. We managed to grab some space here. So it's not so bad idea to continue with sort of pawn storm, right? Well, it's not really a storm, but, well, at least some activity on the queen side, because white is gradually preparing an attack on the other side of the board. So I guess it's pretty logical if we try to counterattack on the other side of the board. All right. Fuchs is here. Nice. Thank you for joining. Now, what to do now? So knight is definitely going to f5. Should we somehow prevent it? Well, there is no chance to prevent it. Maybe we can place like king h7. But then white may switch his plan and play f4. So king h7 is not very cool. I'm pretty sure. Well, what about just doubling rooks along the a file, like rook a7, another rook to a8, because I don't see how white is going to attack me there, on the king side anyway. Well, at least there is no direct checkmate or something. So, I mean, I have time. Even after knight f5, so let's say bishop h6 takes h6, knight h6, all this is not enough to cause a real problem. So I think we still have time to play this move at least. So, we have both rooks in the a file, which means we have a positional threat of taking on b3, forcing bishop takes b3, because rook on a1 is hanging. But white decided to go away, which means after a takes b3, well, the pawn structure remains intact, but now we control the a file completely. And we may even activate the rook, occupy the second rank, pinning the bishop, which I find nice. Probably we don't have a direct threat right now, but a bit later we may create the one, I guess. We'll see. So for now, white has to decide what to do next. It's not so simple thing. Yeah, queen goes to c1. All right. What about playing c4 now? This may be a sacrifice, right? Bishop takes b6, queen b6, b takes c4, gives white extra pawn, but we grab a dark squared bishop, yeah? Light squared bishop remains on the board. Is it worth it? Maybe. The idea behind c4 is to grab a4 square. So for example, if after c4 white plays b4, we have knight to a4, attacking c3, which was just weakened after queen to c1. Again, do we even need that stuff? I'm not sure. Another potential plan may be connected somehow with king to h7, knight to g8, and then g6, getting rid of that knight. And yeah, honestly, I like that one, but white can play f4 at any moment. I have to be very careful here. Not sure. Probably we should start with c4, knight to a4, attacking c3. Obviously, if white gives me such a possibility, yeah, white gives me that. So let's attack c3. Rook on a2 looks a bit strange, but it's fine, so white cannot really attack it. Now the bishop is passive, which means we probably can disturb white from the other side. I mean, I'm not sure that f4 is still so efficient here. Alright, so knight to g8. Probably it was possible to play g6 even without that, because after knight h6, bishop h6, we had rook takes c2, deflecting the queen, and then king takes h6, having two minor pieces for the rook. But okay, knight g8 isn't bad. It's a typical way, by the way, to get rid of such a knight. King h7, knight protects the pawn on h6, and then g6 is ready. And the question is where that knight goes. Not so sure. Probably to e3 or something. But well, after this move, e3 is not possible. And here we have something like e takes f4 and g5. Can we afford that? Well, we don't have to calculate that because we have c3. I mean, c3 is much more interesting target. I mean, no risk, because after g5 we have to calculate a lot of things. Probably it's not dangerous, but anyway, there will be so many pieces around my king. I don't want to risk it. And instead, we are just doing what? We are just getting very strong position. Very good one. e5 was interesting, but then d5 was probably just okay. Now b4 is under pressure. And I'll definitely capture it. And c3 next. And c2. Yeah. I think we are gradually winning the game. We're having absolutely winning position now. So let's do rook on a2. Yeah. Extra minor piece, no compensation. All right. What went wrong? I do believe that if you wanted to play f4, you should have tried immediately after you solved the problem with the a file. So when you played rook to b1, let's have a look at that position. Yeah, I captured on b3 and played rook to a2. I don't think I have a direct threat, as I said during the game. So probably white can just ignore everything and play f4 right here. And if, let's say, I'm taken there, bishop takes on f4. Wow. Look at this. I'm not controlling e5 sufficiently, so e5 may be a very, very annoying threat. And this may happen just next move. Even though I'm capturing on d5, but you taking on d6. So this position looks rather dangerous. Most likely, I don't take on f4 in this case. But, well, you can take on e5 and you will have a protected passer on d5. You'll have an open f file. So typical thing here. I mean, the thing is, if I play this, I think you can take on e5. And, yeah, obviously this g takes f5 and pawn takes f6 is definitely just bad for black, because my king's position is simply awful. I bet it will end up with the direct attack, and it will be a checkmate in attack. So after this taking on e5, I probably have to take, but then you take on h6 and you win a pawn. Again, for nothing. I don't see compensation here for black. So it doesn't work. I mean, I cannot play g6, which means, well, you have interesting position, good chances. Probably I should try something like this. Rook to e8. Or maybe taking on f5 and then playing knight to d7 over protecting e5. I don't know, but giving up a light script bishop is also quite dubious here, I think. So yeah, something like this. I'm not very happy with such a position because pair of bishops is a pair of bishops. Okay. And obviously, yeah, if you play d3, probably you should save your time on playing h3. So probably try to play it without h3. Then it will be something sensible. Because in this case, we're having just a normal position, but you lost a tempo, right? You didn't change anything compared to main lines. All right, thank you for this experience. Let's have a look if there is a challenge from Bertus Maximus. One more? No. There is no challenge. All right, so let's have a look. Enrique, 88. We have not played before, so I'll accept that challenge next. So we have not so many challenges this time. Don't know what's the reason. Maybe I'm just a bad opponent. Well, all right. Sometimes you have a lot of challenges, sometimes you have just a few. That's all right. It's even better for challengers, I believe, because they have a good chance to play. Everybody has a great chance to play tonight. So with the transposition, we're getting Sveshnikov. Okay. I'm usually playing this line with just moving the knight to a3, not taking on f6. And I'm not taking on f6 before my knight is on d5. And then instead of classic c3, I'm playing this modern c4. That goes to c2. Friday is chess club time. Well, all of it was never a problem because if you remember, typically my Banter Blitz happened on Fridays. So yeah, we switched to Thursdays, but on the other hand, I started later, right? 10 p.m. European time. Well, this also affected the things. Okay, anyways, let's see what's going on here. So in this game, we are attacking the bishop on f6. What we want to do is to force it on g5, then h4, g4, attacking the guy. As far as I remember, even bishop h4 is something that may be considered, but then after rook h4, queen h4, knight c7, knight takes a8. Oh. Maybe not so pleasant for black. And if bishop goes to h6, then we continue with the g4. And after f6, we may even play g5. Madley's here. Hello. And bishop goes back to f6. Wow, that's unexpected. In this case, I believe we can simply take on f6. Or maybe just start with castling here. I think this is also a very pleasant thing to do. Already here, we probably have a threat of just playing c5. Maybe very annoying for black. Okay, h5, preparing bishop to g4. We should be careful. That's what I mean. So knight takes f6, probably g takes f6. And then after queen to d3, how to protect d6? With the king to e7, I think. Then what if, excuse me, we play c5, d takes c5, queen c4 attacking the queen, knight jumps to d4, then queen takes c5 check. All starts looking like very bad position for black, but I'm not completely sure. If we start with knight f6 and then g takes f6 and c5 there's bishop g4. Black's main idea. The other question is if it is really dangerous for white. I'm not sure. Okay, let's take that bishop. And queen d3. Let's just go, you know. Greedy. Let's see if it works. Such an approach. I know my pieces look ugly for now, but if we take on d6, everything will be justified, I believe. And king on e7 is not necessarily that cool. So, that is the line I was calculating. Probably I missed something. So c5, dc5, maybe not queen c4, but queen b5 is a bit more accurate, preventing queen to b6. Yeah, for sure. So then knight e4 is more or less forced. We take on c5 with check, attacking the knight on d4 as well. And if queen d6, we take on d6, king d6, knight e4, e4, rook d4, king goes to e5. That is what I have calculated on the previous move, and there I didn't see a clear way to advantage. Maybe simple check on d5, king takes on e4, and then rook goes away somewhere to b5. I'm not sure, again. Maybe simply going away from d4 without check, and if king takes e4, we just continue with the attack. Yeah, I think so. Let's go. Let's go there. Moreover, we have only 2 minutes on the clock. We should play faster now. Alright, queen b5, forcing knight to d4, I believe. Because if simply queen to c7 or something, I'm just taking on c5, and I'm much better. Then bishop goes to b5. Looks super ugly for black, so knight d4 is forced. Then I take on c5 with check, attacking the knight on d4 as well. Johan Wilhelm Möbius joined. Good. Great, even. Knight e4. All right, queen c5. So everything is according to the calculation. Let's see if it was accurate. According to my expectations, we should be better at the end. Fuchs says I would probably resign here as black. Well, it's too early for resigning because it's only about losing the pawn, I think. Still not so clear. Well, it should be technically winning. Oh, I expected king e5 because king e6 is just a waste of time. Moreover, I have this bishop c4. Very nice move. Very good one. All right. Let's complete the development. And now it's very close to a resignable position, of course, because we have extra pawn and much better pawn structure. The ceramic student is here. The bishop e6, all right, I will just take it. Fuchsia says that the whole position isn't fun. True. Still not resignable. Well, it was not resignable. And it's still not so easy for white. I mean, most likely it should be winning. But I still have to work a bit to prove it. Now, good question, how to protect e4. Maybe rook d6 was not so accurate move, but all right. Let's protect the pawn on e4 to start with. If king goes to f4, we have rook to f6. And here, what do we have here? That's a good question. Rook d5, king f4, rook f6, king e3. Still not so clear. Is there a checkmate? No. Black has just prevented the checkmate. So if g3, then there is just rook takes g3. Or maybe I'm missing something simple here. But let's just give this check. Maybe we'll just collect a couple of pawns. So if check on f5, king e3, well, it's so unclear. It may just backfire. Well, let's try to solve the problem of that rook first. Now, position is a bit simplified. Well, I definitely misplayed it. I definitely misplayed it somehow. Okay, check. I didn't see anything better. Nice move. Okay. Oh, shit. What am I doing? So stupid. Yeah, a3 was even stronger. 100% was just almost winning. Well, not really winning, but it was a really hard position for me. Should have been. Such a bad technique, I'm just so ashamed here. Queen? What's going on? Rook f1 isn't a checkmate. Yeah. Alright, my opponent resigned. My god. That was so bad. So after bishop e6 and king e6, well, this position is lost for black, but I played like a complete patzer. Probably just f4, you know. Just play f4 instead of this rook to d6. Indeed, with the rook d6, we are actually forcing opponent's king to get active. We don't need it. We want it to be passive. Now I think black has to protect the 7th rank or the 6th rank. I don't know which one is more important. For example, if black continues just like in the game, for instance, this way, I think I can play rook to d7, now creating this threat of rook to d6 checkmate, and after rook to c6, I can even play this move. Now there is a threat of f5 checkmate. It's gonna be lost. It's gonna be lost. Well, black can play obviously something like f5 here, but well, maybe it's not so simple, in fact. Yeah, maybe not so simple. So takes there, king goes to f6. Yeah, still unclear. I have very weak pawn on g2. Okay, so there was a good recommendation from Olaf, I think. So king d2 and king e3. Absolutely right. What can be more natural than that? Fantastic. Thank you for this recommendation. That's correct, absolutely. And after that, black has no counterplay whatsoever. For instance, if rook goes there, I'm just moving my king there. If rook to c2, okay, just rook to d2. Protecting everything. And I'm no longer afraid of playing g3 against rook to g8, right? So rook to g8, just g3. Yeah, everything is under control. Absolutely right. King d2, king e3. Simple centralization. Activating own king instead of activating opponent's one. All right. So after h4, normally people move the bishop to h6. And after g4 and f6, there is a very complicated theory after c5, as far as I remember. I've been analyzing that position for a long time, but it also happened many months ago. So I don't remember all the details, but there is something like that. At some point, queen to h5 check, king goes to f8, then most likely something like bishop, maybe queen h5 is too early, maybe rook to d1 should be played, or maybe we should start with the bishop b5, I don't remember. Position is just crazy there, and yeah, quite complicated, but nevertheless, that is the main line. Okay, so let's see. Olaf is next. Accept Olaf with pleasure. So it's going to be an interesting game, just as usual. Don William is here. Nice. Nice. And typical Caracan. I mean, typical for our battles. And just as usual, I'm responding with the same variation. Exchanged variation. e5, c5. Very popular nowadays, I think, especially if we talk about rapid and blitz. It's being played more often than anything else, I believe, against Caracan, because it's easy to play and easy to learn. Just nice little variation. h3, just to save the bishop on that diagonal. Not sure if it was really needed, but I like to do something like that. So now, whenever white is facing something like knight to h5, it's possible just to move the bishop to h2. No problems with that. Let's bring the rook to e1. Exactly that rook, because my plan will be connected with the attack on the king side. And here after bishop to d6, I'm curious if I can play bishop g5. And the second question is if it makes sense at all. Let's check it. I mean, normally I would just take on d6, continue with something like knight to e5. But Blitz is a good opportunity to experiment a bit. Knight to e5 now, or bishop to f6. That's a good question. What is better and why? You play knight to e5 with force, well, nearly force black to take with the bishop, then pawn takes, forcing the knight to e8 passive position. We have pair of bishops after that, and some perspectives after, let's say, knight queen to a4 and bringing to h4 with some attack there. looks very tempting. So let's bring the knight to e5. Bishop f6 was also interesting, damaging the pawn structure, but there I think black would have had some good chances to regroup, and it's not clear who would benefit from it because opposite colored bishops, so the one who starts the attack usually benefits, and I was not sure it would be me starting the attack in that position. That's what I mean. Now we have several choices. Queen to c2, let's say. Another one is queen to a4, which I mentioned before. Looks like, let's see, queen a4, knight takes c5. I thought something like bishop h7, king h7, queen h4, king g8, or rook takes c5 or something. Would it be good enough? We can also just play f4, f5. Let's try this one. Just a super straightforward thing, and if black plays g6, it weakens dark squares. Should be dangerous in general. Alright, this is also weakening another position. Let's take it. I'm not sure that black can afford doing something like that, but on the other hand, I expected knight takes f6 after g takes f6 position is indeed very weak. So knight takes f6 could have been playable. So now we have different rook lifts to the g file. First of all, I wanted to force f5 to weaken the pawn structure in the center. Yep, after f5, there is a hole on e5. Black is happy that I don't have the knight, of course, but still, pawn on e6 is now quite weak. What about just attacking it, like queen e2, rook to e8? All right, not so clear. So let's just bring the rook to the g file. At least create a threat of doing it. Rook f6. Black is not impressed. All right. Oh, this way. Definitely didn't expect this. Let's put the rook on the e file. There were two ideas behind rook f3 to bring to the g file, or if it doesn't work, to put it on the e file to attack e6. Let's see if black can protect it efficiently. d4 is coming, I suppose. Should we put our queen on a4 to prevent it? Should we just prevent it in the first place? Not so sure. So I'm just going away from that vulnerable position, from that vulnerable file. We're just waiting for black's move because it may clarify the things a bit. So I think we need some regrouping to bring our pieces to a bit more sensible positions. And now I guess we're ready. Let's go. Let's go for attack. After all, we have pair of bishops, right? So what we should do is open the position and win the game with the attack, or just collecting the material which is hanging. My queen was protected by the bishop h4, so now we're winning, by the way, not only the queen, not only the knight, sorry, but the whole complex. The whole set of black's pieces. Oh, it was possible even to include rook to e6 check, but it was too much, I think. So, was a blunder, but position was already very bad. By the way, if knight takes f4, it's also not so good. Or black after simple g takes f5, let's say, or maybe even something like this. Don't know what is better, but in both cases, black's position looks just completely ruined. All right. So I guess g takes f6 was a serious mistake. Damage an own pawn structure too much. So after e takes f6, knight takes f6 was playable. Also not so great position, but not so bad either. So the only problem is, in fact, the e6 pawn. Just a single weakness here. And I'm not sure I can use it, exploit it so easily. Yeah, then you just put the rook on the 8. You overprotect everything in the center. Well, maybe not so funny position, but absolutely playable. That's what I mean. After g takes f6, I think it's already strategically lost. All right. Olaf says my carry is a little better. Yes, indeed. So you are gradually improving your carry count, which is nice. A good sign. Okay, so let's get further. Who's next? Talus. Accept. e4. Let's see. Sicilian or Karakan again, or e6, or knight f6, or g6, c5. Good. And knight to c6. Okay, let me remember what Talus is usually playing. Dragon, or I don't remember. What I do remember is that I haven't played bishop b5 for ages, so let me try it in this game. e6. All right. And d4. A bit strange version of Taimanov. Without the light script bishop, which should be 100% an achievement for black, but I have some ideas based on knight d5 jump now. So I guess black should be very careful here. Bishop e7. For instance, right now, what about knight to d5? E takes d5, e takes d5, knight takes d4, queen takes d4 looks very strong and very tempting. Another idea after knight e5, e5 is just knight to f5. That may be quite interesting. So let's try it. I mean, it's Blitz. We shouldn't be afraid of semi-correct moves and ideas. Let's move the knight to f5. If black castles now, I'm taking on d5. That is at least my idea. Probably doesn't quite work. Okay. I realized all the risks when I played knight to d5. Maybe e d5 was actually the right choice. Yeah, e d5, and if knight d4, queen d4, and king f8, the move I was a bit afraid of there was bishop to h6. Rook g8, rook takes c6, king e6, d6, queen d6, rook e1, queen e6, takes e6, and okay, I have a queen against two rooks, but there is an attack against the king in the center. Okay, we'll discuss that line after the game. Now I have a problem I thought I would take on d5 simply, but there is a counter-attack after d6. My knight on f5 is hanging. That's a shitty thing. Yeah, feels like I'm just a minor piece down. Oh no, black didn't see it. d6 most likely. That was a nice resource. Protecting the bishop on e7 and attacking my knight on f5. So d6, bishop takes f5. Extra minor piece. Alright, then we take that knight. Probably again was a bit strange decision. Probably I shouldn't take that knight. I don't know. The game is going exactly not according to my scenario, so I have a strange feeling that it will be just a hard fight for a draw here with white pieces. So knight on f5 is hanging for now. What to do with that guy? We may play queen d6 here. Let's check it. So queen d6, knight d6. But then what? It's just a boring position. On the other hand, I don't think we have anything better. Oh, after queen d6, there's queen a5 attacking my rook on e1. And the knight on f5 will be hanging as well. So in that case, if I play bishop d2, there is just queen f5 winning the game. So queen d6. Queen a5. Do we have some tactics like knight h6, takes on h6 with the bishop. Bishop pawn f6 will be still hanging. Bishop g7. Bishop takes g7, king g7, rook e3. Do we have something there? I don't know. So let's play queen d6. Feels like a bluff again, but anyway, tempting to try. So if queen a5, knight h6, takes with the bishop on h6, attacking the rook, and the bishop is still hanging. If bishop goes to g7, I think we even have queen to g3, pinning that bishop, and it's gonna be winning position for white immediately. Yeah, nice line. So probably black has to take on d6. So the cowardly knight g3 was not an option, I guess. Of course, no. We're just like Fischer. We pretend, at least. We're moving only forward. Now we can take on b7, can't we? Yeah, we can. Rook b8, knight to c5, bishop b2, takes e6, f6, rook e6, rook c2. Again, absolutely exhausted position. No resources. Okay, let's just protect b2 for now. b7 is still hanging. Yeah, was of course a joke about Fischer. Who am I to compare myself to that genius? Obviously, chess genius. What should we do here? I think we should exchange dark squared bishops and try to exploit dark squares. Again, maybe it's just a wrong idea. But what else can we do? Don't see much here. Okay, so second rank must be protected. Oh. I'm just blundering like crazy. So fortunately my opponent for some reason didn't notice that a2 was hanging. That was just so important pawn. Alright. Yeah, playing very bad chess in this game. And I'm also very slow. Pay attention. So it's just, you know, less than 1 minute now. Okay. At least damage an opponent's pawn structure here. Don't think if it gives me anything, but... Oh, there is again. Rook e4, was not sure what it was. Probably just a winning position for black. Anyway. Oh, check. Thank you for that pawn. A lot of great objects of attack here. On the 5th rank, so basically this 5th rank is the new 7th rank in this particular case. Yeah, both players are demonstrating just an awful technique here. Yeah, we're going to have the f-pawn. And f-pawn wins, obviously. F-pawn obviously wins. Like this. So, and just a new queen is here. But I'm not sure that I will have enough time to win the game. Only 9 seconds, but practically it's a winning position. Oh. Yeah, I have enough time. Good. I mean, the ending, very, very, very ending of the game was good. But, well, the whole game was just awful. So many different mistakes. Let's start with the knight d5 jump. I have a feeling that I made a serious mistake by playing knight f5 after e d5. So what was my mistake? I didn't notice this move. I have noticed it actually right after I put my knight on f5. Yeah, and after d6, I think it's just very close to lost position for white. Knight on f5 is hanging. If I take that guy, then bishop takes f5. It's time to resign. There is no compensation whatsoever. If knight takes e7, it's also lost. After knight e7, again, no compensation. So I don't know what to do. I wanted to try this move, capturing the pawn at least. But then again, just knight, king takes there. Not serious. I mean, just must be a lost position for white. So instead of doing that, I wanted to take on d5, but what stopped me from doing that was very strange, by the way, is this move, which is obviously not so great. So here we can do what? Bishop h6, as I said during the game. Bishop f6 would just take with the queen on f6. So black should play something like this. In which case we had something like rook e7, king e7, d6, queen d6, and rook to e1, I thought. And queen goes to e6. Now we can take there. And whatever happens now, d6, f6, or king e6, I'm just taking on g7. Let's say f6 and bishop takes g7. And it should be winning position for white because, yeah, we have a queen against 2 rooks, but first of all, black is not developed. Second of all, we have bishops on the board, and pay attention, these bishops are opposite colored ones. So white is definitely starting the attack on dark squares very soon, and it's going to be very strong, going to be very efficient. That was the right direction, just to take on d5 and, yeah, just play this position. Probably black has to give up that g7 because I don't see a clear way to protect it. Because right now our main threat is just to play d6, winning the game. So black has to either go away with the king from the e file or blockade d6. King goes to d8, let's say. Does it change anything? Maybe a bit. But we can try something like bishop g5 even. So bishop takes g5, let's say. Queen takes g7. So position pretty much in the Morphy style, right? Like from old good times. Yeah, king d8, bishop g5, maybe f6 here. But then rook takes e7 again. King takes e7. Something like what? Something like rook e1, I think. Not even d6. King f7, d6. Intended rook e7 next move. Is it correct or it's just too much? Not quite sure, but we are all in the attack, and even something like this maybe winning for white. I mean, goes there. There's a problem with the back rank, but we can solve it, moving our pawn to h4. We're down the rook here, but we are in attack, and black's queen side is completely frozen. So, oh, sorry, rook g7 is better. Yeah, slightly better. So like queen takes f6, king goes to g8. Or it's not enough. I don't know. Maybe it's not enough. Maybe there is no checkmate. So probably h4 is useful move. Just to have the back rank problem solved. And now we have different threats. Like rook g7, queen f6, or h5 maybe. At some point. Maybe bishop takes f6. Don't know. But it's interesting. Interesting. Okay, yeah, thank you for this game. It was a nice experience. Cobra, accept the challenge. Oh, Cobra's rating is growing, I think. 2210. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just an impression. Maybe you had a higher one, I mean. So, everything is fine with the stream? Not really, right? Not really fine. Sorry for that. I mean, at some point we probably lost some packages. This definitely affected your viewing experience. But I hope at least right now it's fine. Let me know, please, in chat. Fuxia says that stream is fine. All right. Probably not for everybody, right? Let's play slightly crazy chess with this g-pawn running. Obviously it's not correct because it's weakening a lot of squares around my king. But I'm just trying to use this strange position of white's knights. So this knight on d2 is actually limited, that one on f3. And if this one goes to e5, I wanted to use it with a d6 move. Maybe I'm wrong doing it. Queen a4 was an interesting resource. Although after that, I could have even played c6 with the pawn. So it's not entirely wrong. It's not that awful. Alright, now h5. Being serious about the attack on the king side. Bishop h4, very logical. That's what I wanted to play against that, just bishop e7. Maybe a bit later just exchanging that bishops. What's nice about black's position here is that we exert some pressure on g2 and we still control e4. If white wants to win the fight for e4 square, he has to take our knight, which will give us a pair of bishops. In the long run, sort of advantage. Otherwise, there is a problem with completing the development. So, a trade-off. And castling there. Okay. Probably not so bad. Not so bad decision. Let's try to open the C file now. For our pieces. For our heavy pieces, I mean. And this opens the B file for our heavy pieces. It also gives us some perspectives in the center. At some point we may think of playing d5 and just grabbing a lot of space. Knight to f4, look at this move, it's very tricky. So knight e6 is probably a threat. So knight takes, pawn takes, queen g6. Well, maybe there is nothing there after that. So probably we shouldn't be afraid. Yeah, let's just ignore it and play queen a5. Oh, that was unnecessary. To put our queen under this knight c4. Just blundering a lot tonight. But okay, fortunately there is also a2 under attack. So probably knight c4 was not necessarily that efficient for white. Hey, if knight goes to c4, we can always go back to c7. Okay. Let's just provoke then knight to c4, because after that we play queen c7 back. And after d5, we'll just put the pawn in the center with a temple, attacking that knight on c4. At the same time, after knight goes away somewhere, I mean anywhere from d2, there is bishop to e4 threat. So, interesting position. Knight f8 to knight g6 was an idea. Yeah, but there is knight to f4, so to make that idea work, I have to play something like the e5. Well, also not so bad. Maybe knight f8 was also a move. But I just believe I'll need that knight on the queen side very soon, because I think my attack there will be really annoying for white. Let's see if I can play e5 now. e5, knight goes to d3, then bishop d5, attacking a2. What's that? There's just c4. I think white is having everything under control there in that line. Yeah, okay. Let's play d5. It's time. It's time to improve the position in the center. Now even c4. Intending knight c5, knight b3. Or, alternatively, this thing, bishop to a4, is also an interesting stuff. Another idea is the rook lift, like rook b6, rook a6. Black has just a clear attack on the king side. Feels like an improved version of French defense or something. Bishop a4. Look at this. Everything goes just automatically. Now knight c5 next move. Oh. Gonna be painful. Yeah, let's go there. Not even calculating anything because everything is crystal clear here. Oh. Very passive. Very solid at the same time. This rook is not participating, so let's play rook b6. Maybe intending to play rook a6. You never know. What? Alright, let's just take this way. That was just too much. I mean, it cannot be right when you have such a back king here. Alright. But if white doesn't do anything, I mean, like before, it's anyway gradually lost, I think. Because black has a great concentration of pieces there on the queen side. So what was possible to try? I think here the first interesting moment, queen to a4 check, wasn't really dangerous. I mean, if I play knight to d7, it's obviously good for white, I guess, after knight to c6. Simple move, just very annoying. e4 is coming, and so forth. Yeah. So I wanted to play c6. Knight is still hanging, and yeah, but on the other hand, look at this. Bishop on b7 is no longer that efficient, no longer that useful, no longer that active. And you're gonna play e4 next move. Yeah, I think queen a4 made perfect sense here in this position. And if I play something like knight f to d7, well, you may just take. I think. And then anyway, e4, getting the advantage in the center, right? Right. So that's the first moment. Second moment was here after h5. Responsible to play h3, I guess. I don't think I can play this because if h takes g4. If I take there, you take there, take there, just knight takes f2. e4 is coming, extra exchange, winning position. So it doesn't work for black. And this may lead to a better pawn structure for you, or at least some simple play after this exchanges. For example, e4 looks nice. I take, you take, I take, queen takes g4. Again, castling long, next move. Better development, couple of threats on the back rank, for example. So, good position, again. If you don't want to do that, you can always play e3. But no problem with that bishop anymore. Alright, bishop h4 was not bad. I just believe that h3 was better. Under bishop e7, I would have tried actually something like this. Just taking that, playing e4. So fighting for the center here. Then maybe queen e2, castling long. Just like you played f3, maybe undermining the pawn. But having the strong pawn center. That's my recommendation of this. Okay, going further. Awake, accept. And black pieces. Not fun, not fun. I want to play with white pieces. Please give me white pieces. Chess 24. Please give me white pieces after this game. I need it as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'm going to lose. I have a feeling because I'm getting closer and closer to losing the game. I'm blundering a lot. Awake? Are you awake? Because sort of waiting, I don't know what's going on. Sort of technical problem again, or what's the matter? e4, okay. So, d4 now, yeah. I was right. That's an interesting line. Let's see how far it goes. I mean, white's preparation here. All right. I don't think I have problems here in this ending, but it is still sort of theory, I guess. I don't remember what is the correct move here. I think rook d2 should be okay. I'm not sure if c6 is alright. But c6 should be also not bad. So now, just knight to f4. Not sure. Or rook g7. Don't see a big difference. So let's play rook g7 first. Covering f7. Rook to f5 now. Oh, there was a difference, in fact. I have just blundered. So it doesn't make sense to put the rook on d2 now. I don't know. I'm just losing the game gradually. Look at this. No, maybe I'm not losing it. It's just a draw. So rook f2 takes f2, king f2, rook g5. Still possible to save a pawn. But it's pathetic. I mean, rook g7 was just so bad. Knight f4 was probably a move. And maybe c6 is not the most critical move to start with. Anyway, we still have an ending to play, so maybe we'll have some chances to outplay our opponent. At first glance, we're having worse pawn structure. On the other hand, it's easier for us to create a passer. But maybe we'll have no time to do that. Let's see. Let's see. After knight f4, what about g3? So, first of all, after g3, my knight is not hanging, right? So, pawn g3 is still pinned. So, I have time to play some like rook d2 there. And if rook goes to f2, there is knight to h3 winning the exchange. I think, yeah, knight f4 was a good idea here. There, sure. Nevertheless, it's in the past. We will look at that line after the game. This is just one of that lines where you make a long sequence of theoretic moves and you get just a boring drawish position. Knight to f4, yeah. Why didn't I play that? I have no idea. After knight to f4, there was no rook to f2, by the way. Fuchs says, I think e4 is a liability. Well, give me one more piece being able to attack that pawn, like the rook. Maybe then it would have been, but in this particular case, I don't think we should consider e4 a weakness, because white has no problems with protecting it. Making no moves, I mean, that lead to worsening the position. So king is just fine in the center, at the same time protecting that e4 if it is attacked. It's not even attacked, I mean. An extra piece often helps a lot. No, I meant just, for example, give white the same piece. Like, I was thinking of my rook somewhere. My knight somewhere in d6 and my rook somewhere in g4, let's say. b3 was played. My god. I thought I had 3 minutes, but I have only 1. Yeah, let's go there. I thought like I was having 3 minutes and my opponent was thinking. Oh, I don't know even how to explain these stupid things that happen to me more and more often. And look, I'm not drunk. Although it may look like I am. No. Sober like a priest. So it feels like we're getting somewhere. Again, I'm not sure that it's anything more than just creating a couple of threats. Can we play this? I'm just curious. I hope I don't blunder anything, because now I think we have extra pawn. Yeah, we have outplayed our opponent, by the way. We managed to do that. Now we have 2 pawns. And good chances to convert the advantage. Okay, knight c3 check. Somehow it happened. I don't know how exactly, but we're making progress here. All right. Now I think we can do that. Okay, we are inside of the square, so. Yeah. Should be in time to convert the advantage. All right. So nice tactics happened there, and I accidentally noticed that knight takes e4 thing. By the way, it was not necessary for white to play king e3. But I had an idea of playing f2, king e2, knight takes e4. Yeah, so king e3 was more or less forced. Okay, to start with this position, I thought that just taking on f4 was okay. And then moving the king away. So I don't think I have real chances to achieve anything in such a position. Knight c5, king d4, knight e6, king goes back. Yeah. Should be still pretty equal, although I made some progress here, pushing my pawns. And only this stuff gave me some real chances. And as Fuchs correctly mentioned before, yeah, e4 was a bit vulnerable. Indeed. But if white plays correctly, of course, black never has a chance to attack it. Here, it actually dropped. All right. And after that, black is having a good chance to win the game. And I used that chance. All right, let's get back to the moment where I played rook to g7. That was just pathetic. I mean, this move was just nothing. So I thought knight f4 would be not so nice, because after g3 I play king e7 attacking the rook, and then that rook goes to f2. But why should I play king e7 here when I have something like this attacking c2? It's much more interesting object of attack. All right, maybe I was a bit afraid of this move with the idea of rook takes c5 check. But okay, what about knight h3 now? Probably king there. Rook takes c2. Rook takes c5, let's say, or f7. I don't know what is better. I think in both cases position is unclear, but let's say rook f7 looks a bit more dangerous. For the king at least. Let's take there. Rook takes, say, h7. Knight jumps to f2. King goes to g1. Yeah, still absolutely unclear position. Still absolutely unclear position. Don't know. But I'm not sure I saw that rook f5 resource in general. So maybe I rejected that for a different reason. Probably c6 is already a mistake. Maybe something like knight f4 here is a correct choice, like covering d5. But then g3 is a bit annoying, like king h1 after that. I don't know. Probably bishop e6 is too early. Queen e7 was another option there. Okay, have to check the theory from time to time. Repeat the things. All right, Johann Wilhelm Möbius. And white pieces, I bet. Yeah, white pieces and Sicilian. Let's see what my opponent prepared for this iteration of the same line. Because we're playing this for, I don't know, like 10th or 20th time. I don't remember. But let's play this actually. Again, I don't remember when we have played that last time. Maybe 1 year ago or something. because I somehow stopped playing this line, although it's not so bad. It's actually quite interesting. So, we have exchanged our bishop, but we can stay with that knight on d5 forever. Almost forever. Not that back compensation, I mean. And I always thought it's sort of mistake. Because now we have some concrete play like f4. We'll see. I had a very interesting game against Injic 2 years ago in Karlsruhe. I was completely winning there, but somehow lost the game. And that was exactly this line, but I don't remember if it was exactly this order of moves. But position was quite hard for black to play. Right, let's go with the knight for some time, just attacking d6 pawn and exchanging light square bishops. To take it or not to take? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So black no longer has pair of bishops, which is good. Now let's put another knight on d5. Making position very close to Sveshnikov. But with some improvements, obviously. And now. Let's play this first. I think we should just double our rooks along the d file and attack d6. This is gonna be a good plan. Maybe queen f3 was a bit better for that. Don't know. Let's see. So black doesn't really have active counterplay. It doesn't mean that this position is so simple for white to play. So we still have to work a lot to prove anything. So now I'm trying to do what? To maybe put the pawn on a5, then pawn on b4. Knight on d5 is just perfect in protecting the bases, or base, if you will, of that pawn formation. So pawn c3 is always protected very nicely. Queen to b5 now. That square was just weakened. But the question is, does it give me anything? Or maybe just rook d2 and rook to d1, just sticking to the plan. I don't know, but then knight c5 attacking e4. Too many hanging things in my position. Yeah, let's play it on b. Let's play this move. I mean, let's put it on b5. Attacking b7 at least. Oh, queen a8 is just a strange thing. I didn't expect that at all. Now I guess we can play this move. Knight e7 was also very interesting. But I don't see much here. I'm just a bit afraid of losing on time, although we play with the increment. So I don't have to be afraid of that. Right now, let's just go back. Rook on c5 grabs square c5 from the knight, which is good for me. All right. Good coordination of pieces. Knight b6 may be my next threat. Queen to f3 is also very annoying. Attacking f6. So black is having some serious problems here, I guess. Or maybe I'm having serious problems. I missed that f3 trick, but I think I will have nearly perfect compensation for it. Look at this knight. I mean, just a monster. Oh, it's just a checkmate in one. All right. I was very lucky in this game. I was very lucky. But even if there is no king f8, I mean, where to go? So if king h7, I'm just collecting some pawns prior to taking that bishop. If king goes to g8, that was probably the best move. But then knight goes to e7. It's still quite hard position for black. Something like that. And then at some point, I'm just taking on d2. And yeah, black's king side is ruined here. So not so good anyway. Yeah, at some point we got pretty much one-sided position, I think, without much counterplay for black. I think the order of moves was a bit strange. So normally you want to play g6, bishop h6 as soon as possible, exactly to h6, not to g7. Not quite sure. Maybe there was an option of just playing knight c5, knight b3. Well, after all, that's what black is usually trying to do when there is a knight to d7 line, because if you don't want to grab that bishop, probably knight c6 is a bit more active. Yeah, I think that my game against Intich went like this. So here I played f4, and he had to respond with the f5, because if takes, then queen d4. Nice trick. Attacking the rook and already controlling f6 square, so it's close to winning immediately. So he played f5, that was also awful, but at least gave black some chances, and I failed to convert that advantage, I think. So oh yeah, I missed knight takes g6 and queen h8 there in that line. Correct. Yeah, knight to e7, king f8 there, and checkmate next move, right? We don't have to play like position with a compensation, but here's queen h8. Correct. Awake. That's absolutely correct suggestion. Just a checkmate black instead of playing that. So probably after this move, king to h7 is the only response. Otherwise, it's just a checkmate by force. Maybe we also have something interesting here. Let's say knight to e7, creating sort of queen g6 checkmate. Instead of taking that bishop, we don't need that bishop if we have a checkmate, right? So rook g5 looks like the only defense. It's very strange. It's very strange if we don't have anything here right now. h4, f4, h4 probably, but then rook to g4. Oh, maybe here, just taking the bishop, intending rook to d5 or something. Yeah, it's gonna be winning position for white. Okay, thanks for the game. Let's go forward. Jermal from Greece, right? Right. Except 3 minutes, 2700s. I have to play faster. Let's go. e4. What's going to be played here? One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Abort. All right. Don William is next. Will you not play me, Ostrovskiy, because my rating is not at 2700s? Well, I'm not sure, but Sterls P09, are you a premium user? Because, as you may notice, I'm playing only premium users, and that's actually the condition for participating in Banter Blitz. Let me check challengers. Yeah, there is a challenge from you, but you're not premium. Sorry, I cannot play you. Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's a condition. It's not about rating here. I'm not actually choosing my opponents according to the rating. Now, what I'm usually doing, I'm starting with 3 or 4 games against players I've never played before, and then I'm just accepting challenges one by one. That's it. Very, very simple. Knight to c6. All right, bishop f4. Don William. Caro-Kann. Already had Caro-Kann tonight, right, against Olaf. And now another version about against Don William, sorry. Start confusing words, which is a sign I'm getting tired. Queen b6. Queen to b3, I believe, is the best response here. Bishop to g4, interesting. So this basically gives me a chance to take on b6, damaging the pawn structure. Is that bad for black? I think it should be. Lali says, was a premium user and I have 1.5 against 0.5 score against Andrey. So we played 2 times. The one was a draw and another one you won, right? Wow, good. Nice score. Have we played during Banter Blitz shows exclusively, or there were also some attempts in a playing zone? I mean, I don't remember, sorry. Just don't remember. King goes to d7. So, this position is interesting, but do I really have anything? That's a good question, because I'm not sure. Do we win a pawn after bishop to c7 here? Maybe we do. Should we play that? Maybe we should. Let's try that. I mean, bishop to c7 attacking the pawn. No, maybe we're not winning it, but we force something ugly like rook to a6, which is also interesting for us. Oh, black is not going to protect it, so let's grab it. Maybe we will regret. Maybe. For now, I see an extra pawn. Oh, God, but knight e2 is so bad move. Black could have played rook a6, bishop c5, takes, knight e5, attacking my bishop and grabbing the pawn on c5. So actually winning the pawn back. But now to bishop b2, I think we're still fine. We're still having extra material. e5. Okay, let's grab it. And bishop d4. Technically winning position. In addition to extra pawn, we have this nice target on d5 for later attack. Just an isolated pawn. And we can cover e4 square with, let's say, this nice f3 move. It was also interesting just to take on f6. I missed that, but never mind. This position should be winning anyway. Yeah. Okay, so what's the best move? Knight to f5 doesn't really stop black from playing knight to d6, so let's just put our rook on the open file with the idea of... The idea was to bring it to e5, and basically we can do this right now. If knight c4, then rook d5 check, and then at least rook to b5. Maybe we will have something better than that. First of all, how black is going to protect d5. Maybe rook a5 move. We'll do that. Rook c5 doesn't really help because of b4, I suppose. Right? Yeah, b4. Should be annoying. And rook a5, the difference with that after b4 there was the possibility to play rook to a3, counter-attacking my c3 pawn. And this... Is it really dangerous? Let's see. Let's focus, but it's getting harder and harder with each and every game. Let's play rook h5. I'm just falling asleep gradually. And I know why, because basically it's time to finish the show. But maybe one more game after this one. Okay, rook takes d5 now. Should we put another rook on e1, or it's unnecessary here? Well, first of all, I don't see a threat. All right, knight b2 is just one check. What should be the correct move? Rook to c5 is interesting. Simplifying the things a bit. If a4, then knight b2, king c2, knight takes a4. And we're not trapping that knight. Alright, maybe just knight to f5. Yep. Let's go there. And then knight to d6. Simplifying the things, right? It's just another blunder. Takes rook a3, wins one of the pawns back. Still, probably convertible advantage for white, but it was absolutely unnecessary to blunder the things like this. Right. So fortunately, we're still 2 pawns up. Oh, just very bad conversion. It's possible for black probably just to play knight to a4. There's a bit more testing. This one is an easy win. Okay, so queen takes b6, a takes b6. Probably bishop c7 immediately was greater than knight to a3, right? Because here, if knight gets to d7, black's pieces are just misplaced. It's a question of taste, obviously, but now it's really hard to get rid of that bishop without damaging the position even more. Maybe now we have to play knight a3, knight b5 quickly. Yeah, don't know. But interesting game anyway. It's probably the last one. So let's play Jose Bon. Accept. Yeah. So black pieces, really hard to focus. Really hard to focus. So, my opponent is not going to play. Okay. Board. And the next one, always blame the mouse. I think this guy is online and ready to play. C4. Let's play E5. Just to make it a bit more dynamic. Normally I play knight f6, e6, d5 nowadays, but it's just a blitz game, so let's take some risks. So let me remember. There is nothing to remember, I don't know the line. So just making some tempo moves. Quickly pretending that I know everything here. It's not right, in fact. It's not correct. And this knight c3 is not correct for sure. Knight takes b4 was better. Followed by something like d4, and white should have been just slightly better. Now, since we have all the pieces still on the board and slightly more space, I think we should be slightly better with black. If you want a dynamic game, answer c4 with b5. Come on. When I say dynamic, I don't mean something like that. I mean just quick, active development of the pieces, not necessarily sacrificing anything. You know my attitude. I don't sacrifice anything until I think I'm ready for it. Okay, here we go. h5, f3. So, should I take on f3 or take on c3 or just completely ignore everything? I don't know. But d3 square is quite weak, so I think taking on f3 is quite logical. Especially if there is bishop takes f3. I have this nice move, blockading the bishop on c1. I mean, blockading the pawn on d2 and making it hard for white to develop the bishop. We don't have to sacrifice anything here. Everything is just perfect for black. All right. Strategically a winning position for black, I think. c4 is heading. We can take it if you want. Do we want? I mean, why not? Pawn is a pawn. Now it's a good question. It's really tempting just to take on c3, in fact. But let's put the bishop on d6. This is also a nice square. And we have some attacking prospects. Bishop c3 was a good transformation of the advantage. Just leaving white with that pathetic bishop. And, yeah. Against my good knight. And don't forget with the position, in a position with a pawn down, a pawn less, a pawn fewer. I don't know how to explain my thoughts anymore. So bishop h2, king h2, queen h4, knight g4 should be just a quick checkmate. Let's do that. if I'm not blundering something terrible, it's gonna be just... Oh, there's just a rook on f1, which is much safer than that. But anyway, let's calculate for the sake of curiosity. So queen h4, king g1, knight g4. Rook should go away somewhere. Let's say rook takes f7, queen h2, king f1, queen h1, king e2, queen takes g2. And king runs away through d1, but it's just for what? For one move. Knight takes e3 using the fact that d2 is pinned. King is back on e1. I think it's also winning for black. I mean, queen h4 and so forth. But as I was taught many years ago, if you see a checkmate by force, like checkmate in 3 moves, and a possibility to take the queen, just take the queen, because there may be no checkmate in 3 moves, in fact. So just a kind of joke, but very good advice. Why should I calculate something when I can take the rook on f1, just continue with the same attack, but having extra material, right? Yeah, I don't have to take that risks. And also taking into account that I'm completely tired now. I may have miscalculated the things and that line. So, for example, after queen h1 check, king e2, queen takes g2, there is also king e1, not necessarily to d1, giving me a chance to take an e3. And then, well, maybe it's still winning, but c7 was hanging, which was, of course, defendable by simple queen g3 check, and c7 is covered. And then h4, h3, h2, maybe I could have played that. I don't need it. I mean, look at this position. It's just the same, but taking no risks. All right. Where's my checkmate now? Somewhere here. Somewhere near. What's next? Rook h6, rook f6, I suppose. Yeah, let's go this way. Okay, after this move, we have this one. So f6 was controlled, but d5 was no longer controlled. So rook d5, rook f5 is another lift, which looks amazing. Okay, now rook f6. Wait a second. Yeah, it's okay. And here we go. Stopping king c2 and checkmating the king on e1. Next move. Okay. So, 30-50, not so bad. I mean, looks nice. Thank you for this evening. Sorry for getting so extremely tired closer to the end of the show. It was a hard week for me, especially yesterday. Anyways, next week, I hope everything will be just as usual according to the schedule. So training Tuesday and Banter Blitz on Thursday. Wish you all the best. Have a nice weekend. See you around. Bye-bye.